Hey, welcome back to Vox Terra. If you haven't done so, please do subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell if you have not already done so. Today, I've got 10 awesome points for you to keep in mind about natural gas and natural gas extraction like fracking. Because as we go through the Biden administration, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on cleaner, greener energy. Now, unlike Donald Trump, where he was just promoting fossil fuels in general. But Biden has some sympathy for the natural gas industry. He's not Bernie Sanders. So we need to understand that industry. And these points are going to help you even if you're already an opponent, because they'll help you clarify. And if you are a proponent, but you're not directly profiting from the industry, I believe they'll give you pause to think. And if you are directly profiting from the industry, they still might give you pause to think. So first of all, by natural gas, for today's show, I'm talking about the fossil energy source, a source that was formed deep beneath the Earth's surface by dead, decaying life forms over the eons and through heat and pressure, ancient animals. And that would include coal, natural gas, and also oil. Now, there's also natural gas or methane trapped on the ocean seabed in the form of what are called methane hydrates, or like crystallized or frozen. And I'll get back to that at the end because that's really important for my last point about the dire climate feedback loops we're looking at. So point one, we should always look at what the environmentalists say and not just what the natural gas industry and the proponents say about natural gas. So according to the Union of Concerned Scientists, Natural Resource Defense Council, Sierra Club, none of them support natural gas. So the Union of Concerned Scientists, an excellent environmental group, is pretty darn fair. And they pointed out that yes, in some senses, natural gas is cleaner in the sense that it doesn't put out so much particulate matter when burned and less CO2 than when burned than would a coal or a gasoline internal combustion engine if done in a nice, good, up-to-date facility. But what that equation is leaving out, as most of the environmentalists will tell you, is the methane problem. Now, most of the methane is released through a process called fugitive methane, meaning the methane is escaping through the drilling, the extraction, the pipelines, and the shipping, through avoidable and unavoidable leaks. So point two regarding methane, the methane is, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists and other sources, let me cite this for you, 34 times stronger than CO2 at trapping heat over a 100-year period, and 86 times stronger at trapping heat over a 20-year period. That's why these recent major spikes in the Earth's temperature are correlated with the boom in the fracking industry in the United States because of all this fugitive methane getting released. Now, what has facilitated the boom in natural gas and its supposedly inexpensive price are new non-conventional means of extracting gas like fracking and horizontal drilling. Well, that brings us to point three about natural gas. So in addition, you've got the fact the environmental groups oppose it. That should tell you something. Two, the methane. And now three, the water contamination. Fracking involves volumes of water mixed with these proprietarily owned chemicals, and the chemicals in the water are then injected then put into the wells, the drilled wells, to then inject and crack up the earth so the natural gas can be extracted more easily. While these chemical mixes are generally proprietary or trade secrets and not necessarily so easily accessible to the public in terms of the exact mixes of chemicals being used at any particular well, some of the chemicals are identified as known carcinogens like benzene and formaldehyde, and also they're known to disrupt the endocrine system and other issues with the human body. Such as I'll cite to you from Yale that some of the chemicals are disrupting the reproductive system, meaning how we're birthing children. Now, in addition to these chemicals that are put in the water intentionally to facilitate the fracking, there's unintentional hazards being released, like naturally occurring radiation, as well as naturally occurring methane being released not only into the atmosphere, but also into the water. Now, the radiation is clearly problematic. Methane in the water is not necessarily known to harm the human body like some of these chemical additives, but that's where you see those films showing you people's water on fire when they can set their water on fire from the taps of some people who live near fracking wells. In fact, it uses so much water and it contaminates so much water that the water table levels can actually decrease in areas where fracking is being done, at least according to the Union of Concerned Scientists. And that water used for the fracking is not recoverable, again, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists, because it's so contaminated. Now, that contamination can occur from improperly done procedures as well as properly done procedures, and like leaks along pipelines, leaks along the drilling or the wells, and also abandoned wells. You know, these businesses can set up a well and then abandon them later, and if the business goes out of business, where's the accountability? Now, point 4, where the environmentalists are concerned about non-conventional drilling and fracking, is also the air contamination. There's been known air contamination near those drill sites. And according to a U.S. News and World article I can share with you, they've identified, asthma as well as cognitive problems. Cognitive meaning learning problems. So there must be neurotoxins in the mix. Then point 4, the problems with drilling and mining and extraction are really the same, all around, if not done properly, which are going to include habitat disruption and contamination of the water and soil erosion, erosion and sedimentation into the waters. Now, number 6, a sixth reason with why they're opposing fracking and natural gas, or we are, is it represents a big commitment. The more we subsidize natural gas, the more we subsidize oil and gas, the more we give them tax breaks, the more we promote that industry through media, etc., the less we oppose it, the more it doubles down and its political muscle and its wealth increases, and the more people that become dependent on it for jobs, and the more people want to believe in it. So it becomes self-perpetuating, committing us to more fossil fuels at a time when we need to drastically be moving away. So point 7 is there's alternatives. Like, for instance, let's think, what's natural gas used for? It's used for energy. It's used for the production of plastics. It's used for home heating and cooking. So alternatives. Well, renewable energy is the gold star of the environmental movement. And renewable energy, what they want, or we want, is that renewable energy backed up by energy storage and a more efficient grid, so you can ship around the energy, wind by day, solar by night, or rather solar by day, wind by night. Ship it around through a more efficient grid, as well as energy storage solutions. We also want energy conservation, simply less energy being used. Now, in terms of keeping your home heated, well, there's a great solution for that almost no one's talking about. There's something called air source heat pumps, there's air source and ground source heat pumps, which can be run on an electrical generation, which can be renewable. And they are simply, in the case of ground source heat pumps, which is also known as geothermal heating and cooling, what you're doing there is you're just drilling wells into the earth, and you're pumping up that stable earth temperature into the home or the building. So that right there would knock out a lot of the need for natural gas for heating. Now, in terms of plastics manufacture, well, we obviously want less plastic, less disposable plastics. But one time I was at the supermarket and I saw a bag used for produce, and it said on it, this bag is fossil fuel free. It's made from plant-based plastics. Home cooking, well, that could be electrified. So, if there are all these wonderful alternatives, why aren't they happening? Well, that gets us back to my earlier point. There is a lot of money aggregating in trade associations trying to promote natural gas, and they then influence the media, including they use social media to make it look like average people are promoting it, and then that in turn gets picked up by average people who may have no dog in the fight, so to speak, in terms of natural gas or not. Point 9 is natural gas, like fossil fuels in general and nuclear energy. It's not as cheap as it seems. It's not as cost effective as it seems. It only seems cost effective, one, because of all the subsidies and tax breaks, which I talked about, but also because of something called market externalities, meaning the product, whatever product you're buying, isn't including the cost of those carcinogens in producing it. It's not including the cost of those nervous system disruptors. It's not including the cost of those greenhouse gases. If it was, most of these products would be much more expensive, and then your plant-based plastic alternative or your geothermal heating and cooling would suddenly be much cheaper in comparison. And lastly, point 10, I want you to think about what I call climate feedback loops, or dire climate feedback loops, in the case of natural gas in particular, and the disturbing irony of it. Well, as we utilize a lot of natural gas and fossil fuels in general, we've been heating up the planet. Now, that heating of the planet is setting feedback loops where the planet is now self-heating. So for example, interestingly, you're burning natural gas and that's releasing a lot of fugitive methane. Well, I mentioned to you at the outset of this video, there's methane trapped in those ice crystals in the ocean seabed. There's also methane trapped within the Arctic's tundra and the permafrost. And as that permafrost is warming, it's releasing trapped methane. And as the ocean is warming, it's releasing trapped methane as well. So Mother Nature is saying, hey, you really want to heat up this planet. I know people have been warning you about it for a long time. Me personally, I maybe read my first warning going back to the late 70s or early 80s. You want to keep ignoring it? You really want to heat the place up? Well, let's heat the place up then. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please share it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please click that notification bell. Please like, please comment. Remember, your comments can influence future videos. Although this is a volunteer effort, so I will do my best. And until next time, peace be with you.